Who hates this movie?
Joe.
Oh.
Joe Gatto.
We have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast. We're the Four Dead Losers. I'm Ramito.
Adam.
Jordan.
Justin.
And today we're going to do a viewer request over Sinners. Wow, how exciting. Adam, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think of the movie?
That was really good. I don't have very many complaints, and most of them, if any, are like more like personal preference things that, again, like just maybe took like a very minuscule part of it out of it. But I don't have very many flaws for this movie. This is like right up my alley for movies.
Rating out of 10?
Say 9 out of 10.
Dang.
That's pretty good. I think that's the highest one you've done so far.
Dang.
Jordan, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think of the movie?
I don't know if it's like the fact that it's it takes place in a different historical time period, or that there's vampires in it. I don't know if that's just my thing, but I don't know. I really liked it. I just watched it like an hour ago, so I'm coming.
I think we all did.
Yeah, we're all fresh off of it. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought, the way it was shot, the music, I thought it was all great. Loved it. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
10?
I'm giving it a 10.
Dang.
My second 10 out of 10.
He said
Dang.
perfect.
Oh,
He
his
said
other
perfect.
10 out of 10 was Nosferatu.
Was it?
Bro,
really?
You're gonna get me canceled. Yeah.
I think.
It's vampires,
Yeah,
man.
that's
We
true.
gotta
Oh,
love
yeah,
some.
he likes vampires.
Mhm. Non-spoiler thoughts, Justin. What did you think of the movie?
It was good. I liked it a lot. There's some small flaws that, when I really initially got out of the movie, I was really still internalizing everything. So I really, really liked it, and I was gonna give it a higher score, but kind of I had this past hour to kind of just reflect on it a little bit, and it's still good. I still like it, but as a more what's it called? Kind of letting I wouldn't say hype die down, but just kind of letting myself
Digest it
a little bit more. Yeah, I still think it's good though. I still think it's probably I don't know how many movies we've seen this year. I can't remember that were 2025, but I think it's the best one so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8 though.
An 8 out of 10?
8 out of 10.
Is better than the Minecraft movie?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know about that actually. Never. You see people tearing down the theater over this.
Jordan was chicken jockey.
Yeah. the one random guy, right? In the middle of the movie.
I bought an extra popcorn.
Yeah.
But okay, 8 out of 10 for yourself. Non-spoiler thoughts for myself. I did not like this movie. I thought it was bad.
Dang.
It wasn't a snooze fest. I didn't fall asleep. I was awake the entire time. So I was able to see everything, unlike Nosferatu, the other vampire movie that I didn't like. So rating for myself, I'd give this a 3.5 out of 10.
Dang.
It was not good.
No.
I don't understand
That's tough.
why anybody likes this movie. I don't understand why critics like this movie. I just don't get it.
This one is a little different than Nosferatu in that, Nosferatu is still sat in the 80s.
I think they're both two different movies.
But the rating, the reception to it.
Yeah.
Nosferatu stood in the 80s. This has a 98 critic, 97 audience.
Yeah, I
So
just
it's
don't get it. But yeah, this is not spoiler thoughts for myself. We'll get into it a little bit later about why I rated it so low. But until then, this is going to be your spoiler warning. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. We really appreciate it. This is your spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Damn. They didn't do a crazy style.
Crazy style.
That's so bad. So the movie go ahead and opens up. We have this lore drop, I guess, about how music is able to summon spirits from different.
Well, actually, key musicians. It's not
Yes,
every
you're right,
musician.
you're right.
It's like key musicians have the power.
Have the power to summon spirits from past and present and future.
I'm gonna say that was one of my nitpicky things. I did not like the future aspect because I don't think any other horror, ghost, anything has ever referenced a future ghost. Like, I don't think there's anything ever with space-time continuum going that opposite direction, because that seems opposite of death, right? Like, in the future. Like, that's kind of odd. So I would say that's one of my nitpicky things. I was like, you could have maybe not done that part and it would have helped. Because there were some later references to that later that was like...
Is it really?
Yes, there's like a whole scene.
No, at the end?
No.
It's basically the start of Act 2.
Yes. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
It's one of the things I hate about this movie.
It's one of the best scenes in the movie.
It's awful, I think.
It took me out of it for a little bit. But continue.
That was okay. We'll get to it, but yeah. And then that's when Sam won.
Yes, and that's when
the title card.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here, I will say this is again this is like the most minuscule nitpick I have. This was the fastest cut that I've ever seen to it shows the sky for like a second and a half, and then it goes like, okay, here's the date. All right, now we go to the car. I'm like, why? What the point? Like, why didn't you like maybe do the sky, then the car, have him pull up, and then do like that was a fast cut to the date. Like, did anybody else notice that? Y'all the visual people, that cut seemed super awkward.
There's another cut in
there were a lot of cuts to me that were just really like, what the fuck?
That one seemed like really awkward, and that's coming from somebody that usually doesn't nitpick about that. I was just like, what the heck? Like, we saw this guy for like a second, it's like, all right, now here's the timeline. I'm like, what?
Yeah, so the date is October 16th, 1932 in Mississippi, right?
Yep, the South.
And so we basically get one of our main characters, his name is Sam. He has blood all over him. He shows up in his car. Right in front of a white building. He walks inside. They're having a church service. His dad is the pastor. And so this guy, like, you would expect some kind of record scratch moment where everybody's like, stop or whatever. But no, his dad is like, you have to resent rock and roll, or the blues, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah.
So one thing that's very important to note is that the vast majority of our main characters in the movie are African American. So that comes into play with a lot of themes throughout the movie. So his dad or Sam's dad, I don't remember his name, is basically like, oh, let go of the guitar right now, because he's only holding the neck.
Yeah,
and then we just get the
broken strings, and the string's still on there, which I guess makes sense because that's where they're held. But
yeah. And then we get the cut basically one day earlier. And so this is the first act. The entirety of the first act, we just get introduced to all of the main characters and the basic gist about what's going on.
The main cast.
Yes, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
So we get introduced to Michael B. Jordan, both
Michael
of his
B.
characters.
I thought he was going to get credited twice. I was almost hoping when they did the title card they were going to do it again. Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan.
He's playing. Is it the
Smoke and Stack? They're the twins. They're referred to as the twins by most of the people in town.
Their actual names that only like the closest people to them refer to them, or I guess their love interests refer to them as are Elijah, and I can't remember the other one.
I don't think it was mentioned.
Well, they were both mentioned, and they both sound like Elijah, but I can't remember what the other one is.
Yeah.
Okay, they both sound like Elijah.
Yeah, and it's Anne who calls Smoke the name, and it's Mary who calls Stack the other one.
Bro, they have the same name too.
So they basically buy this like abandoned sawmill, and they're making the deal with the realtor, and he's really shifty, right? Like they get
realtor.
Well, I mean, big note because again, the date. This is still like Jim Crow era South, and so they're very adamant too because they were like they're asking questions, and the guy was getting very like, no, like
they're asking like normal questions.
Yeah, normal questions, and so like because racism, he was kind of like, oh, I don't even think you are serious about this, and like I was coming this with good intent, and then they basically kind of call him out, and they like essentially brandish their weapons. He brandishes his, but it's 2-on-1, so obviously that's not a winnable battle. And I think the big point of contention was them having money to pay him, like they're like, more in full, in cash, and essentially telling him directly, like, this is the only money you're gonna get from us, so like really pressing, like, do not try to shake us down again, because they obviously that's something that could happen, and then make sure that none of you know, the clan members come down this way because, you know, like we will defend our area, you know, because we're buying it. This is ours now. And then he kind of shifty like was like, oh man, that doesn't exist anymore, which is like, nah, it's 1932. So, you know, but anyways,
I'm pretty sure it still exists and it's 2025.
This is the Michael Jackson tour when he walks away.
They also mention, just because it comes up later a little bit, one of the points of contention they have is like one of the brothers is looking at the floor and realizes that it's
dirty. Yes, they did realize, because he's like, did you clean these floors?
He fucking spits on it, right?
Yeah,
chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
But the realtor called them boys. That's when it really triggers like that.
Yeah.
So then the first act is them just getting all the supplies and everything they need in order to open the store.
Oh, we also get the pastor, Samuel's father, specifically tells him, like, you keep dancing with the devil, one day he's going to follow you home.
Yeah.
Which is like, essentially the
Follow you
whole theme
home.
of it.
Right, and I think, one of the other key points in the lore dump was this basically expressing that if you're one of those special musicians that can draw out, you know, the ghost of past, present, future, you also are essentially inviting or enticing evil because they're also spirits, right? Where there's good, there's evil. And like they do like the creepy, right, red eyes, like, and I liked how they did the lore dump too. It was like almost like etching, motion etching. I forgot. I don't know what the.
We also get multiple. Like I'm pretty sure we see multiple cultures and stuff in
Yes.
that little.
Yes. So important to note, we find out that the twins came back from Chicago, so they were there for a while, so they left town. Obviously, the dad isn't like the pastor is not as big a fan of the cousins because they come and pick up the son. We find out that they're gonna have to split up because of the realtor being late. So there's two different like points of views of what's happening for the setup, and the whole first act really is just them setting up. Getting the jukebox, right?
Juke jam.
That
is called
juke
camp.
Juke joint.
Juke joint. There we go. Juke joint. So getting basically like a dancing, you know, bar. For
like a blues bar.
Yeah, blues bar for for that building that they got, and essentially they're picking up all the other main cast characters, meeting other people, showing off that like the twins, even before they left, had a reputation in town as obviously being no nonsense and they got stuff done. I think other than the dad and son for Samuel, the other key point that gets brought up is the second love interest, Mary, with Stack. Because they run into him at the train station when they pick up Slim, which is another musician, harmonica player, as well as the first love interest, which is going to be for Smoke, Annie, because he goes to a grave, talks about, you know, like, baby, I'm here, like, you know, like, I'm just letting you know I was here, and then we come to find out that was their child, and he left, and the I don't know if their wife is just girlfriend or whatever, but the mother of the child that was with Smoke, he or she basically is like a
culandera.
Yeah, she basically is kind of like a witch that does a lot of like protections and potions and things like that, healing stuff, because she gives it to a set of young people that I'm guessing are asking it for their family, and it also gets brought up too that Smoke does wear around his neck kind of like a good luck charm essentially, or I forget what, do you remember what they called it? It's like a good juju type thing, but basically it wards off evil, and I think one of the coldest lines was like, you know, could you have done this, or said, how come it didn't work for our child? Like, this thing works for me, because she even said it like, I don't know why or how, because I was mad at you because you left, but like me praying and all that, and that has worked for you. And then he threw that line, and I was like, that's so messed up. I was like, that was dark, dude.
Smoke, I feel like in movies like this where something paranormal or like out of the realm of reality happens, there's always like the cliche character that doesn't believe in it that gets proven wrong.
But he does because he keeps it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Right. He like tries to deny that like what you're selling doesn't work or whatever. Like it doesn't do anything.
But he believes
it.
But he's secretly
he's still wearing it.
Yeah, because he wears it, and obviously it's worked up to that point, I'm guessing. So,
except for their kid.
And then, I'm about to say, outside of that, it's just, they're hiring people. They're picking up all these different various people to work the bar. So, like, Annie, the love interest for Smoke, is going to be the cook. You have two people that he also meets up with earlier that are store clerks that he picks up. One to make a sign, and the other one to run the gambling room. You have
the one who makes the sign. Her name is Grace.
Grace, yeah.
I don't know what her husband's name is.
I forget his name, but they work at this. Actually, they have two stores. The wife, the wife works at one, and he works at the other.
I think the reason why they have two stores is because one of them is for
groceries.
No, because one of them is for people who have more pigment in their skin.
Maybe.
That's why they have two different
I didn't
stores.
catch
that.
Yeah, when the daughter goes to get Grace, there's only Anglo-presenting people.
And on the other side is where
I didn't even catch that.
I didn't either.
I didn't catch that. But but they pick up the two workers. They pick up Slim, which again is at the train station where we meet Mary, the other love interest, and that's with Stack and Sam.
We also meet Sam's love interest.
Sam's love interest, which he's leaving for a train.
Pearl something. So it's Pearl, like it's Pearl, then it has like a little.
I think
Perline.
Yeah,
Yes, you're right.
yeah,
Because it's the
Yes. And then as well as they pick up the front door worker. I forget his name.
Cornbread.
He's been in a lot of movies, but he's like the bigger guy. So he's obviously like we don't know it until they actually get there. But he's basically the bouncer, essentially the doorman.
Have we mentioned? We might have mentioned that Samuel's related to the twins.
Yeah, Samuel's related to the twins because that's what I was saying that the uncle, which is the pastor, is not the biggest fan of them. We also get the lore dump too that one of the twins, which was Smoke, killed their dad, and it's because Stack was getting abused, whereas I guess Smoke wasn't as much. So basically, I think they said that Stack got hit to the point where he was unconscious, and then when he woke up, like it happened, like the dad was dead, and it was his brother that did it. So that was also important to note, and that's probably why the dad doesn't like them because I don't know, maybe he had an inclination that maybe they did it or what. Like there was never any reasoning for that.
Yeah.
Other than I know the dad just doesn't like music in general because of what he sees it as it brings. Because he talks about like you're playing for people that are basically like in sin, like you're that's not the way of life. And there was one other big note. When they're at the train station, another good thing to note was when they meet Slim, which is the other musician, which he doesn't have the power, although it does seem like he might have had it at one point. At least that was my theory, because he had mentioned like before, like was that the point where he mentioned about he had danced with the devil a couple times beforehand?
I think that was at the bar.
At the bar,
I think that was at the bar.
It does come up though.
But it does come up. But he has mentioned he's been around for a long time, and when they try to hire him, he's one of the few people that doesn't want to go at first. He's like, I don't care what you pay me. I don't trust y'all gonna be there, in the next couple years. Y'all brand new.
Whereas, not like because it's a new establishment, so they don't know how stable that work is gonna be.
And he's like, even said, he's like, I'm pretty much old, like I'm past my prime, like I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here, so I need the money while I can get it. So, but yeah, no, it was very interesting. I know the first act may be a little slow for a lot of people. I don't know. I enjoy it like that, especially because I know that the middle and the end are good for me, so I kind of enjoy it because it keeps the pacing of like you can't do it all right away, and I feel like it would have taken away from some of the movie had they done more with what they did in the second and third act, I think.
So after everybody gets hired and makes their way to the new establishment, then we get a clip of basically like this man who's all burned up just kind of falls out of the sky and runs up to a farmhouse.
Did he fall out of the sky? Oh yes,
that's what it looks like to us.
That's what it looks like to us. Yeah.
It looked like at first I thought it looked like he jumped out of a truck, but there was no vehicles when he pulled up.
Yeah. But we do see later, like when he, not to jump too far ahead, but when
he does fly. Yes, he does fly.
Or like has some kind of super jump bullshit.
Super jump.
Like a real vampire.
Because when he attacked, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So he shows up to this farmhouse. He knocks on the door. And then there's a couple that's in there. Their names aren't really important, but we do see they do have guns and they're pointed at his face, and we do see that there's a Klansman uniform in the background. So he says that there's a bunch of indigenous people hot on his trail, and he like needs to be let in. And he makes it like a really big point for him to be like invited in, right? Like if in my mind, if he weren't like needed to be invited in as soon as they open the door. If these people are hot on your trail like they think, like you say they are, I would have booked it inside.
Well, I think the big thing to note though
It's
is that
vampire lore.
it is vampire lore, but they also have guns on him, so that's the thing. It's
That's
like
true.
you can't. I mean, you're not. What are you gonna do, Buster? They're just gonna shoot, you know.
Yeah.
But I think they had made it a point too to say that like they didn't believe him because they're like from the area, so they know they're like there's not indigenous people around this area.
Yeah.
But we come to find out pretty quickly that they might be traveling because I guess they're essentially hunting him down because. As soon as they let him in, they pull up and they're, two trucks full of people.
Something like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're full of people, but it's
Yeah,
like a few vehicles, they're on horseback.
And horseback.
And there's still a little bit of daylight.
Yes.
Yeah, still a
Two,
little bit.
It's the sun,
He's clearly like
sunset.
beaten up, like he hasn't, for
He-
lack of
he
a better
hasn't-
word, like regenerated.
Yeah, but it looks like he's, essentially been like,
He's like beat up.
Yeah.
Mhm. He has burn marks on him.
Yeah, burn marks. Yeah, which they don't see him like smoking. Like,
That is true. He is smoking.
yeah. But I think once he gets under the shade, it stops. Because that's the thing. They have an overhang. It's like when it to put it in perspective, like just imagine he pulls up to Courage the Cowardly Dog's house. Essentially, that's what it is.
Basically, yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, and there he gets there. But essentially, one of the leaders of the group comes to the door, and he's unarmed. That one in particular is unarmed, but the people behind them all have rifles, and the trucks also pointed at the house.
Yeah.
So they're ready if anything, and so he just asks them questions like, "Hey, have you seen this man? We're looking for him." And they're like, "No, we haven't seen anybody." And it's like, "Are you sure?" Like, he's very dangerous, and like I think
He's
he
not
kind
who
of.
he claims.
Yeah,
to
he's
be.
not who he claims
Yeah.
to be, and then he kind of like peeks, and I think he kind of gets the inclination and realizes like he's probably in there. So he tries to warn her. He's like, "Hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. Like, if he's in there, like you may be in more danger than you believe."
He even tells her like, "God forbid you let him into your
Yeah,
home."
God forbid. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like trying to really state like if he's in there, you probably messed up. And of course, she's like, "No, whatever, leave." And
Yeah.
so
And
he's
he
like,
dips.
"Well,
bro.
no, he dips because
One of the people that's like with the rifle is like, "Hey,
Sundown,
it's sundown." Yeah, so that's
I
why
didn't
they
ca-
all.
I caught that the sun was going down. By
Yeah,
then.
it's whatever language that they're speaking because it's the subtitles at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Well, and it's important to note too that like that's important because I think in my mind the way that they're setting up their lore and their universe is that maybe at night they're even stronger because I feel like yes it's daylight and yes you could potentially take him out, but what's the difference? You have your team there, like is he's too strong where 8 of you can't take this one person?
Yeah.
But I'm imagining there might be more
Oh,
than
so
one,
it's stronger,
or and they could be stronger, which he does get stronger. Come to find out.
Which is one of my gripes, but we'll get to that later.
Uh-huh.
So basically, the indigenous people leave, and then the woman goes back into the house, and she's calling out for her husband. He's not answering, so then she opens the back door, and lo and behold, he's like dead on the ground, right?
He's sitting in the chair.
Yeah, or
The vampire sitting in the
the
chair.
main vampire sitting in the chair, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about him. He'll get up real quick." And then they
Turn them into vampires.
they turn them both into vampires. Okay, cool. So then here
The true
we
second
get
act.
yes. So we start getting into the second act, and this is where the club is all set up, and people are having a great time, doing all these things. I feel like the sequence went on way too fucking long. Like we get it, people are here, but they're basically showing like what everybody's doing in every single room. So the first person to be playing the music is Slim, right, on the
Slim.
piano,
Mhm.
and they do like a whole song and dance or whatever, and then they introduce Sam. And so when Sam starts playing, that's when we get like this other bizarre sequence. I have no idea why anybody greenlit this. I thought it was awful, but this is Jordan's favorite, so we'll let him describe it.
You know what's funny? Before we get into describing it, it's funny because I was reading like people's opinions on Reddit, and a lot of people actually really like this scene too.
I thought it was dog shit.
We get Sam gets introduced or whatever, has his guitar, he starts playing. Everything's pretty normal. He's singing. He has a great voice. Love the guy.
He does.
He does have a really good blues voice.
Was that actually him? Do we know?
It has to be. He
I
says
feel like
speaking
it
lines
was.
are that deep.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, like
He has a
somebody's
deep voice.
singing voice can be very different from their speaking voice, right?
Probably
if you think
is,
of like
yeah.
Nightmare
Yeah.
Before Christmas, the guy who plays Jack Skellington isn't the one who sings.
yeah, because that guy can't sing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it?
Oh, I
It
don't
probably
know.
is. I'm gonna assume it is.
He's
right
really
now.
good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Whoever's singing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Allegedly.
him, but it sounds amazing.
That does sound good.
So this cue's like this taps into the whole lore we've learned so far that like certain people have the power to essentially tap into like the spirit
I see
world.
It's like it like almost like
yeah.
they have like they hit a frequency like because of their ability that like basically unlocks everything.
So we get the creative freedom from the movie to show like essentially reality kind of like morphs, and we get like we see like I don't know what to call
So this
them.
was a
Like,
literal segment? I thought it was a figurative
It's a
segment.
figurative.
It's
segment.
figurative. It's
Like,
figurative, but the way they present it.
Yeah.
it's presented literal, but it is figurative.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically we get a bunch of musicians from different eras and
Past,
stuff like
future,
That, like-
different heritages.
Yeah.
We have to imagine these are the artists because they also use dancers too. That these are the
Yes.
artists that are
Right.
unlocked, and these are the people that might be the ones that have reached that ascension point, right? That like are able to tap into the universe. So was it past, present, future? So you
Mhm.
get like hip hop with the DJs. You get
You get like trap, like
actual
modern
trap. You
yeah.
get
You get twerkers.
yeah. You get the
Twerkers,
the rock. You kind of like
Yeah.
almost
like
essentially
the glam rock,
like
like
glam-
the V guitar.
I mean, it's almost like you're essentially like a not Jimi Hendrix, but it's like the equivalent of that, right?
We also see like
The past version, which would be like
the very first instance.
well, I forget what they called them. Like basically, what they were referred to in their culture, like for the earlier people, because they talked about it in every culture, like what their person was called.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I really enjoyed this one.
I hated it.
Only I just didn't like the future portion, not because I didn't like what they were presenting. I just didn't like because again, in my mind, the continuum. I don't understand how ghosts are future. Does that like that's my only disconnect? I'm like I understand why, and I understand why. I just don't.
In this scene, I understand them showing it. Like, I understand your gripe with like the lore part in the beginning.
Yeah.
In this scene, I understand them showing it because they're not necessarily showing like the future spirits.
That's what I
They're
was saying.
showing
I
the
don't think-
future musicians who.
That's
would be
what I
able
was.
to-
That
Yeah,
would
that's
be
what I
that.
thought it was. I
But-
didn't think it was like a spirit.
They
thing.
also show
It was
like Asian culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a.
the two shopkeepers are from Chinese descent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it shows like
And we get like
a
the
little bit of
soundtrack is blending. We get like
Yeah.
people
that.
scratching
That sounds
records.
So bad.
There's parts where like the overlap is weird, but yeah, we basically morph through like 10 different genres in the time, while we follow essentially like the club around.
Yeah, the club.
And it goes on forever.
I don't know if Ramiro wants to add anything.
No, I mean just towards the end of the scene, like the closeout is that we get a shot of like Sam. It's like an upwards kind of shot, and we can see that the ceiling is on fire,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not really on fire. And so the next cut, the walls of the barn are burned down. Everybody's partying, still on the floor, but then we get the shot of the vampires.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
We still see all the different cultures and stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Like you're playing Sims, you get the wall down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
well.
but yeah, that's when we get the triggered effect. Now that's like the key. The key there is that it's that he's done so well and it's like so lively and he's hit that frequency that like it's called to him. Like it's a
Yes.
call. It's like essentially calls him towards it. So
Yeah.
and that's I did actually enjoy that scene. I just like I said, the future part is my gripe, and only because I just can't get past that. Like the ghosts and future just
Right.
doesn't make sense to me. I understand why. I just don't
I
get.
understand.
The lore made it to where they had to do that, and then it just didn't fit. It didn't fit for me, but I appreciate what they did because I like get the figurative sense of like
Mhm.
exactly what they're meaning.
That's all I have to say for that. Yeah.
So then the vampires basically show up to the party, right? They go to Cornbread while he's at the bouncer. They're like, "Hey, can we come in?" And he's like, "No, sorry." So they and then this is where Smokestack basically come out, right? And they make it a really big point. Smokestack twins make it a really big point about like this is intended for people of our social class to enjoy, and not so much Anglo folk. Basically for them to have like a place where they can congregate and all that stuff and not have to worry about racism or somebody like, coming in and saying things that'll get them canceled.
Cancel.
Right. The only person we have that isn't black
Is-
presenting is Mary.
is Mary.
Mary, which
Yeah.
they did make a big deal about that.
They point her out. They're
Yeah.
like, what about her?
Yeah. Well, and also prior to that, I mean, we kind of brushed over it really fast too. Mary did enter the club. Stack tried to get rid of her because the big thing is within their interest is that Stack doesn't want her there, and he even like I don't know if he arranged it or he set it up, but like she's married. Like Mary is married to somebody
In Arkansas.
in Arkansas, and like that's not. And she was only there for her mom's funeral, which none of the people showed up for on their side. Which she was upset about because like, oh, you're in town for this, but you couldn't come visit because supposedly like the mom made a big impact on their lives too. And so, you know, that was one thing that Stack kept on trying to get her to leave. And I think even Smoke at one point was like, you either deal with, or I'm going to deal with it. Because I think in his mind too, he was worried that, again, like all it takes is one person in the bar or club to say something, and then it gets to the wrong person, and then they have trouble. And I think that's his big thing was like, we don't want to have the wrong kind of attention here because as soon as it does, like
that's it.
It's it. Yeah,
That's why they won't let the vampires in because it's like, okay, they might be cool now, but if you do one thing wrong because of that time period,
then
you're
it's
walking
over.
up the ice.
Yeah, because they're like very big on like, well, we have money we're willing to spend, and they're and I guess the last point to note because they mentioned this right before this scene too, they made a big deal about payment because a guy came in, one of the patrons, and was like, I only like I'm gonna just I can't afford all the other stuff y'all have, but I'll pay you instead of 50 cents 30 cents, and then these 2 wooden coins that are credits that he got from his work
For the
general market. And so what we come to find out is like Stack and what's the other woman's name? Annie are like trying to explain to Smoke because Smoke's not about it. He's like, no, friend, like we can't do that. And they're like, no, it's cool. And they're trying to explain to Smoke like, look, if you want these patrons to come, you're gonna have to be a little bit lenient with that because like some of them might
the
not be able
environment
to.
is meant for like, your people. Right?
Yeah, and so they're like, some people may have to do that, and then but they make it like, oh, it's only gonna be a few. And then right before those guys come in, they do make it a point. It's like, hey, I counted the till, and look, here's what we should be making, or here's what we have in cash, and here's what we have in those credits. So like, we're gonna end up losing business in 2 months because it's not equaling out because what are they gonna do with the credits? Like that doesn't work for us.
Which like again, I feel like a big emphasis is like the historical part of this movie. It taps into like essentially it's a cycle. Like. In order to serve the people that came from the same place you did, like ultimately they're not getting paid enough or don't have a means to keep you afloat. Like, it's you're set up to fail.
You're set up to fail. Yeah, because they're not getting paid what their work that they're doing. Like, and so like for them to be like, oh, you're getting paid in like a little bit of cash and then credits.
Because when you get wooden credits, you can only use it at that one place.
Yes.
It's probably owned by an Anglo person.
And you're probably getting even shortened on that too. So that was a key point too because they had like, oh, we have cash, we have money, which is going to set up why they turned the first person.
And who is? I get the twins confused on name. Who's the one with Mary?
Mary is Stack.
We also learn like the big thing between Stack and Mary, and the reason she got set up with this dude is essentially because they're different colors, so they essentially can't coexist.
It was illegal for them to be together back then.
Right, but her dad was, I think, African American, so she's half. She is.
We do get more than like
her grandfather. Yes. So she's like like an eighth. I think So, but she looks Anglo, so that's why.
She also grew up with these people. Like her mom brought people in. Like it's a whole.
Yeah. So then they basically turn the vampires away. Okay, cool, whatever. Then there's a whole bunch of back and forth, I think.
It gets to the point where essentially going back to the till, like, hey, look, we're not making enough money. So then it gets brought up to Mary when she's talking to Stack, and she tells Stack, like, hey, I let me go talk to those people. Let me feel them out. Maybe they haven't gone that far, and I can get a feel. So Stack like doesn't agree at first, but then realizes like, look, like if they have money, they can potentially replenish what you're missing to make it profitable for the night and maybe in the future. So he gives her his gun. She like puts it like on her thigh, and then she goes out to find them, which. They're not even like that parking lot. They're like at the end of the parking lot, like on a log. And they're
playing music.
Yeah, they're playing music.
It kind of slaps. So okay.
I try to remember. I wish I kind of knew what the song was. It was almost like it wasn't like a hymn or anything. It's like just like a folk song.
It was more folky.
Yeah, it's like a folk song. And so, but they're like hitting the jams. I want to know, did these people have instruments when they're at their house? Like, because if you notice, like later on in the movie, more of these vampires come with like like musical instruments, and I'm like, what? Where did you get these? Where are these coming from? They just appear. They're just like, yeah. As soon as you're a vampire, they hand you. There you go. You play the banjo.
It's
Like,
a starter kit.
It's like how all dads like Creed, all vampires have music
instruments. But yeah, she goes to like feel them out, and she's like talking to them, and hey, do you have money? And they're like, oh, well. And first she listens to them, and like they play like their full length song. Like actually, I would think they would have stopped midway, but no, they like keep it going, which is up to theme with the movie because again, it's based around music. So I feel like you have to have those moments of like those different musical elements, and that's when I guess they eventually like open up and they're like, yeah, look, here's the money we have, and it's gold coins, and she realizes like, what kind of currency is this? And what he says like, well, this isn't going to be good for you.
Yeah,
and
it's from a different place.
Different place and time, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's gold regardless. I mean, it's gold. It doesn't matter.
We also get like when he's looking at Mary, he tells her like, because Mary talks about how she's going through a hard time, or he
points it out.
Yeah, and he mentions like, I could have saved your mom, and I can still save you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then does the like, all of y'all need saving.
Mm-hmm. And that's when she's like,
which feels a little. I mean, it is racist. The movie is about racism, so.
Right. Well, I think in bigger sense of like, she's freaking out because she's like, I don't even know who you are, and you're. I mean, they kind of everybody gets a bad vibe from these.
They're weirdos.
They are weird. Yeah, because they're like, hold on, we'll sing for you. And they like play a tune earlier too. It's like what? She ends up storming off. Like I think at one point she thought about pulling out the gun, and then she's like, no.
She flashes it.
Oh, flashes it. Yeah, and then she walks off.
She walks away, and she's holding it while she's walking away, like pointed towards them, and she says like, y'all get away. I'm gonna walk this way.
There's also when we learn they're not like fully a hive mind, but like anything that the main guy says, the other two kind of just repeat the same thing back to her.
They kind of like are able to play off of it. But and this is where we get the double jump from video games where the vampire like kind of goes.
This was one I wasn't expecting.
The vampire leap.
Yeah.
And this was one of the cuts where like he literally jumps and then it cuts like right after the leap. Like I wish
you would have had the fall.
Because we see the fall later, like we see the full jump, and I think it looks better when you can see the full thing. I think also because you've already seen it happen once, you're kind of prepared for it. But I will say that was one of the moments where I was like,
yeah, the leap was kind of interesting. I think they did the leap.
It looks like he like launches off screen.
Yeah, I think he did the leap because, again, just thinking like logistically, you can't walk because it's gravel. Like the ground is all gravel, so if he walked towards her, she would have heard it. So for him, she had a gun, so he had to do the leap to bounce.
I think he's the only one we see do the leap too.
Y'all, you say you hate it, but I watch What We Do in the Shadows, and they all do the leap. So I'm just saying that's pretty lore accurate. That's pretty lore accurate.
I just thought the cut was funny.
The leap.
I'm pretty sure we get the same thing in like Nosferatu, where he can
the leap.
Like he just shows up in the window. Like I'm pretty sure he can fly or leap or something.
Yeah,
the leap.
He's the leap. You never seen the leap? Everybody does the leap. All vampire movies have the leap. It's Blade. They have the leap.
Bro, Renfield got Nicolas Cage just floating.
Yeah, I technically I think that's on par. I think that's on par.
It's part.
That's on par. I just thought that there.
They're already like supernatural creatures. I don't think it was just the way it was cut. It was
kind of silly. It was a little silly.
It looked bad.
It was a little silly.
So Mary basically goes back to Cornbread, right? And she like very insistent about him giving her permission to enter the room. Right, so it's kind of like...
And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever, yeah, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I mean, obviously I knew it, but I didn't catch it. Like, I had to ask Amanda afterwards, like, wait, did she have to get permission?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
They all
did.
And since so...
I love this.
She starts, like, throwing herself at Stack at this point.
Yes.
You say you love this scene?
Not that part of the scene. I love this scene because she throws herself at Stack, shows him the gold coins or whatever, then they go into a room to be intimate or whatever. And this is when we get Samuel's love interest. She's now the one on stage, like, singing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And during this time is when we have, like, everybody singing with her. We get, like, the really loud stomping that I feel does a good job of, like, building tension and creating, like, momentum into what is about to be
this was like a tense movie. I never felt tense throughout this movie at all.
Because it's bad.
It's not bad. I just didn't feel like there was no actual tension.
I feel like the I don't know.
I got the tension more. I got the tension a little bit at the end, but it's almost because like it seemed like even when there was issues up until Act 3 that Smoke specifically had the power. Like he was actually a pretty no nonsense. Like he got things done. Like that was the thing was that like. it never felt like they were the underdog because like he was able to handle any issue that came up, at least up till the
He's
third
the one
act.
who could cut like almost like cut the emotion out of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's even a point where he pulled a gun on Samuel. Like,
Oh yeah, because because that was a weird part too. That was right before this, right?
I'm pretty sure Samuel goes upstairs and is talking to him.
This was before this. Yeah, this was before this moment, which was odd. Like I understand why, but it came out of nowhere for me. Was the interaction between Smoke and Sam, and he basically told Sam because he's like, "Hey Sam, you liked it tonight, whatever. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, I had a great time." And he's like, "Well, this is gonna be your last night." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I know musicians that like do this for a living. Like they are never happy. Like you need to stop because you're not gonna be happy with your life. So I'm telling you now, it ends. Like because if I see you here or anywhere else, like I will." Personally, like take you down, and that's when he like, well then do it, and then he pulls out the gun. He's like, oh hey, and he's like, oh why are you shaking now? He's like, he said he told me to do it, and he even said I'm a soldier, and I'm following your order. Like say I'm a soldier, I follow orders.
Yeah,
and then,
so smokestack fought in World War One.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
That's why they have the arsenal at the end.
Yeah, they have like
I
the
didn't
trunk.
catch
The
that.
trunk. They call it. They refer to it as the trunk.
I do. I don't know. It makes sense to me because it's like, okay, they're trying to stop
Oh,
Samuel.
they were in the German trenches? Is that what they said?
Yes.
They're trying to
They're in
stop
the trenches.
Samuel from like being in the cycle.
Yeah,
It just
of course.
it only comes off like kind of abrupt to me because they were cool with him being there until like
Well,
all of a sudden the
Well, they're
trouble's brewing a
businessmen,
little
they're
bit.
trying to...
Well, and I think you know what it was too. I think because after all this and realizing the money, your point you brought up back earlier was the cycle of like you're not gonna never, even when you think you're doing all the right things, like the way that the environment was at the time, you're never gonna progress and you're never gonna be happy because you're never getting your just due. And so knowing him, he's been to Chicago, which has very well known like jazz bars, blues bars, things like that. You're talking about he's seen it, so he knows like you're not gonna be happy.
And
like,
he even tells like Samuel, like your father's a pastor, you have a good name for yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Samuel says like they don't
me
know.
as
being related to y'all, not to my dad.
Dad,
Essentially,
yeah.
like
not very many people outside of
essentially
the
they
town.
tarnish
Yeah.
his image too, so it becomes
Yeah.
like a
The other really important thing that we forgot to mention was that when Mary comes back into the barn or whatever, Cornbread leaves to go to the restroom.
and
And he
leaves
leaves
Slim
Slim
in
in
charge.
charge.
Not
Slim, yeah, Slim. That was pretty funny.
Who
Like,
is a known alcoholic at this point?
Yeah.
Like, that's-
And so Cornbread, we get a shot of him urinating, and then there's just whispers in the woods, and then it cuts.
I'm pretty sure we also get like do we get eyes or something?
We get the eyes. Yes, we
Yeah.
get the eyes that were the
And they
exact
look-
eyes
they
from
look
the.
like they're
Mansion.
doing. They're doing like some. I thought it was kind of clever how they do the lightning bugs.
Yeah.
And then like
Oh,
some of the
yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's so
can't
good,
really
bro.
know.
It's so good.
No.
So and then that makes it known too, right? Like you don't know how many. I mean, our assumption is it's just the 3 right now. But the way that they set up the first introduction of the vampire, you have to imagine there's more that we aren't aware of that may be in the area or maybe just scattered around parts you just don't know. And that's the duty of the people that were hunting the first vampire down, is maybe their just sole mission is to make sure they follow and eradicate any vampires. Because I think at one point too, once they find out about like the team and the main cast finds out about the vampires, the love interest, I keep on forgetting her name. Annie. She is very big on like this is like the worst kind that you can have. Like even the ones from the lore dump aren't as bad as vampires. Like these are actually the worst thing you could possibly have.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us into like the
Act
start
3.
of the third act, right?
Yeah.
So Mary
Is with Stack.
is with Stack, and they're having relations in this room. Smoke is basically telling Sam, "Hey, go check up on them," and then he opens the door, walks in on them, closes the door.
He tells them to go get him because weren't they like
They're beating up somebody who
that
was
cut
cheating on
cards. And he even
he had
got
loaded
my-
dice, and then so when the other guy called him out, he
He got
cut him with
slapped.
a razor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Smoke tells Sam like, "No, I'm gonna go get him because you couldn't do it." They walk in, and then I was gonna say Haley Steinfeld, Mary is eating basically the vampire on the neck, and then
You see the blood spurt.
yeah, he goes akimbo with his freaking pistols and unloads.
I've never
on
seen
her.
him reload until the very end, by the way. Too. Like he always just had ammo after he would always run out. So it was like-
Yeah. he unloads both clips into Mary, and then she just basically, haha, we're gonna kill
Evil
every
Dead.
last one
Evil
of you."
Dead is basically.
She literally gets up and like
This
charges.
movie's so bad, and then does
It was
like
badass.
the
I'm
worst
saying it was
run.
badass.
She like runs, and then keeps going. Like, what the fuck is that?
It was
Awful. It's bad.
Badass.
Bad.
She runs out, and then this is when Annie starts to like piece together what's going on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We also get like the emotional scene of
Yes.
Smoke,
Smoke
like
holding,
crying with
holding
his brother.
Stack.
holding
Yeah.
Stack, and the last thing Stack says is "I love you" before he dies.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is when we get the lore that one, like with vampires, essentially. Oh well, that comes a little bit later. But this is when we find out, like, Annie, that's her name,
Mm-hmm.
tells him like, even if the one that made the vampires gets killed,
Yeah. So there's the usual.
you have to kill them
vampire
one by
rule.
one.
Well, because and that's always a point of contention, right? There's no like definitive like this is exactly what it is, right? Like every vampire movie has their own adjustment to like
Yeah.
actual lore, but that is points of contention for some others, like Blade, like when they kill the original Dracula, that kills all the Draculas. When they kill what's his face, the dude from the second movie, I already forgot his name, but the like hybrid vampire with the face, like it gets rid of all the other ones. Like, but essentially, yeah, whoever bit you, if that person dies, then the rest of their lineage of people they bit would
Gets
die.
eradicated.
And
Yeah.
Annie even explains
How
it,
Van Helsing.
it might happen a couple scenes later, but I just want to touch on it now. That like essentially when a vampire takes your body, like the person's soul is still stuck in there.
Yeah.
So like the idea is you kill them in order to free their soul. Like you're doing them a favor essentially.
Yeah.
And they do, so we did see this at this point, the revival, like it's almost like not even that long does it take for somebody to revive. They pretty much like just, all right, we're good.
Get, like Cornbread trying to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, here in a bit.
And he's like,
yeah. But they're freaking out about all that stuff, right? Because the door, I think at this point is still open. Like they don't close the door yet. And then it's when that Cornbread I think tries to come in later because
they locked the brother in the room first.
yes,
The body.
the body. Well, because they told Annie tells to Smoke like you need to get him out now, like take him outside, and she's like no, like he's still alive, like the typical grief doesn't want to believe it. And then
they send everybody like while Annie's distracted.
they send everybody out.
They send everybody like go home.
I think I even heard Annie at one point, right, did say, like, don't, like, make sure everybody stays here.
inside,
right, like,
and then they send them off.
Put the dad outside and keep everybody in and
They send everybody
Wow,
off,
yeah.
which was strike one. Well, I mean, it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
But strike one.
I think this is when Cornbread comes
Yeah,
in,
this
right
is
there.
when Cornbread tries to come back in, and he's like being very insistent about being let in or having permission to come in, and there's just like a
Well, he tells him, like, he's like, okay, well, why don't you let me on by? Like,
Okay,
and
he
so
finds
that-
out his brother just died, and he's like, let me on by and I can help. or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, that's a good thing. They're like, we're just standing right here in the doorway. You can walk past us. Because that's Annie's point of contention is like,
Yeah.
you can push past us. And he's like, no, that's rude. Why would I be so rude? Which is like, as soon as anybody talks like that, I don't care who it is. Like, nobody talks like that.
You're
like,
a
of course,
vampire.
You're a vampire. And so, I think that's when they finally convince, I think that's when Smoke finally gets convinced of like, okay, something's not right.
Oh, because he also gets like, Cornbread wants his payment or whatever.
Yeah,
So
well,
he puts
yeah.
his arm out the door.
No, he puts it out like
He
that.
gets fucking,
Yanked. He's like,
which was, and then we see,
Smoke caps him in the face twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he like
Gets right back up.
Max Payne style. Like he pulls him and just like
The bullet time.
okay,
Yeah,
they're about to
but-
bite him.
yeah, like I mean, because imagine how he got pulled pretty quickly, like
Yeah.
enough force to yank him out, and then
Yeah.
like the chomp was happening, and he somehow like got the gun up and
Yeah.
going. It was in his hand already, but
This is one of the funny points in the movie.
which
Because
was
they get Smoke back in, and Slim's like, did anybody smell anything?
Yeah.
I think I just shat
that's
myself.
a good line.
This is when Stack comes back to life. There's a whole scene with him trying to open the door from the locked
It's
room.
Evil Dead. Let me in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all better. Let me in.
And so he finally breaks down the door, and Annie throws the garlic or pickled juice, pickled garlic or something like that
Yeah.
on him, and it's a sizzle.
He's
So
a-
the
This is when we get like the official thing from Annie, like,
yeah,
they're vampires. And then we get like,
the
they can't have
stake
sunlight.
to the
they
heart,
can't-
no sunlight. The killing the main one doesn't work.
Well, what's interesting too is that when they throw it in his face, anytime that anybody gets dealt with at the moment, they all run out. So I don't know if that's like on purpose, obviously to set up the just how the
It's
story
like a hive mind thing still.
Yeah, like as soon as somebody gets hurt, they got to
It
take
gets
off.
mentioned like
There's a hive mind, yes,
but
but
it's mentioned that they can all feel something. I
yeah.
think.
No, they say they don't.
They
They
don't.
Here's the thing. At the
No.
end, though, so I find it interesting that like
I think with the
you say you
main
have to
one
kill
they
him,
do.
but at the end when Sam's beating up the main one,
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying. They
the
all
main
get.
one,
They all
yes.
get. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
If the main one takes it,
they
all
feel it.
They all
Maybe,
feel it.
Yes, it's only the main one. If the main one takes it, then they all feel
but
it.
killing the main one doesn't kill all of them, which is a weird like.
Concept. Well, I mean, they play it off very well. But anyways, you want to continue?
So then we get the whole anti-vampire lore thing. They find this random dude just
On the ground.
on the ground, and they're like, "Who killed them?" And who? They're all.
I was wondering too. I was like, is there somebody that killed somebody that we weren't aware of?
People
Or
were
did-
saying. People were saying. I don't know if you're about to touch on it. That this whole. I've never seen it. Don't hate on me. That the whole like scene of them eating garlic and kicking that guy out.
It's
It's
the
like
thing.
is the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which I thought was awful
Homage.
the way that they incorporated this.
Homage.
But that's. I just didn't like this movie. I thought it was
Homage.
very bad.
Yeah, homage
So
is
they
good.
basically find a guy who's knocked unconscious on the ground. There's like a puddle of liquid around them, and they're all convinced that it's blood. So then they take his body, and instead of just throwing it out the door where it's outside, no, they decide to walk 20 feet out of the door.
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah,
I don't know
Yeah,
why
I
they
was
did
like,
that.
why did you do that? Anyways, so then
They make it back in safe.
Is this when we see the dancing circle outside?
yes,
Yes.
yeah. This is when they like in my mind the only reason why they incorporated this so that way we can see that everybody that they kicked out of the barn is dead and they're all having some kind of like
Party.
party outside. Think
Well,
of,
it's
like,
almost it's like
this thing of Midsummer when they're all dancing in the circle. That's what's
Yeah.
happening, and then they for whatever reason they turn the movie into a musical and they have like a song. I mean, vampire guy.
Does he sing?
Yes, he's singing.
Yeah, he's killing it, bro.
I don't think he's singing the same song they were singing earlier. I think
No.
that song comes back at the end.
Yeah.
But I think this is the point of the entire basis of why he wants Sam. So again, it was very pointed that like when Sam came into frame, when the vampire saw him, that he wanted Sam. And I think this is where I was kind of intrigued and kind of curious. Like we're never gonna get it, but I'm curious, what the driving factor is outside of this, because I'm like, I don't think they ever mentioned that they need to drink blood of necessity, like in terms of to live. I think it's almost they just need to do it to heal.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Right.
So that was interesting because at no point is like we need to feed. Like it's not to feed. They just want to get
It's not hunger driven.
not hunger driven, but they want to get more. They're trying to get more people.
I think
Yeah,
too,
they
get
want to
Sam
build a community. It's more of a community
community.
that they want to build rather than satisfying their
Because
hearts.
the idea is to have Sam's skill to communicate with them.
And that's the thing. I think that's why this scene was important, was because he can get them to be all led because again he's the hive mind leader, but
they can't.
he doesn't have the
cross
power to cross the plane. And so I think that's why they extended it, because the vampire himself, the main one, that's his main driven goal, is to get the community to be able to commune for an even higher purpose, right? Because he was like, I want to be able to see my friends, my people. So I don't know if that's other dead vampires or just other people from his past life.
Yeah.
They never really explained that, but it's very individually driven of like, I want to see people that I can't see, and you have the power to let me do that.
I think that was one of the cons I actually did have, is that, with this movie being such heavy on like story driven, they didn't really delve into like who this vampire was. Or like, or anything about him besides like everything, like all his motives are, you can kind of piece together, but there's nothing like concrete.
Right, we don't find his like
Exactly.
I think where you're getting at, it doesn't make him a very like definitive villain per se, because you're getting enough from him, but I think he just serves as a story piece essentially.
Yeah, and again, that would be fine if the movie itself wasn't extremely story driven.
Yeah.
That was an irk I had. Again, it doesn't need to be that case, but with so much of this character development going on in this movie, you would think that they would
would've done
have
that.
something, right?
That's how you
But
buy the
there's no-
director's cut. The standard cut. The Coogler, what is it? What's the director's name? Ryan Coogler? Right?
Coogler, yeah.
Yeah, the Coogler cut.
The Coogler cut.
The guy who didn't he direct Black Panther or no?
Yeah, and
Michael B. Jordan.
and
Ludwig
anything with Michael
Garrison.
B. Jordan as the lead, he's directed.
Ludwig Garrison did the soundtrack, who also did Black Panther. This is when we get the guy that got thrown outside, like
He went.
begging
Oh,
to come back
no,
in.
no, because somebody asked. They're like, hey, like, did anybody actually verify that guy was dead?
After they eat the garlic?
Well, yeah, and then it was like, they go over there and he like picks up the thing. Did they ever verify
It was
what
wine.
It's
He picks
wine.
up the bottle.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, it's wine. And he's like, oh, wait, and then you hear the door like, let me, and very different type of like aggressiveness than even the vampire at the beginning when he
It
was
was
getting
more
into
out
it.
of desperation.
Yeah, and so they open the door, and as soon as they open it, he just gets body tackled, just like poor
This
guy.
is when we get two things out of this. One, we find out, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's the main vampire guy, I'm pretty sure it is. He tells the twins, or Smoke is the only one left, but he essentially tells them, like, we get the whole lore of the realtor guy was in the clan.
That
And,
they
like,
can see each other's memories.
Yes.
Whoever they eat.
and the people they made vampires that had the clan
they
stuff
were
were supposed to go and
racist,
kill
yeah.
them.
Right.
Mhm.
So
So,
it's the
in a
whole-
sense, and he says in a sense like I saved you, like, and
Yeah.
I can keep on saving you if you allow me. Like,
So,
and we
like-
can basically like we can take him out. Like,
Essentially, you're never
Yeah.
going to be free
Yeah.
because you're African American. So
And
like,
they even say like Sam, if you don't want to die, that's fine. Then just give us Sam, and all of y'all can live.
right.
Yeah.
and I think, and then they said, and then that's when Stack came up with Mary, and he's like, hey, like believe him, like it's true, like I'm here.
We also get the shop owner.
Grace.
Yes. Grace is like, they're kind of having a
Oh, she's trying to leave. She's like, I gotta go save, or I just gotta leave.
Because the thing is, the vampires like try to tap into the emotional part of you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Stack does the same thing. Like, come with me. Like, you'll be okay.
Yeah, and he did. The vampire does bring up the daughter. It's like, oh, well, what about your
We're gonna
daughter?
go after your
We can go
daughter,
after your
essentially.
daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, are you gonna make it like 20 kilometers in this? Like, how many hours left? I
So
don't
then
know.
they drag her back in. They're all like, kind of like, what the fuck do we do now?
I hate this, but you can keep going.
Oh, why do you hate it? I know where we're going. So then we get like, right. The Asian lady's like freaking out about her daughter. Everybody else is like, well, let's just wait till the sunrise or whatever. And essentially, the Asian lady basically screams.
Well, no, she gets upset because there's a driving point. And it comes back to the music. This is where they revamp the song that they did at the beginning with
Yes.
Mary. Is as a commune, they all like start
hear
just
that.
basically surrounding the barn and singing that song in unison.
Something about like picking, like Raven didn't make it. We picked him dry.
Yeah, and
Right.
so, and I think for her, this is where again music comes back into play. I think that was enough to like really like just disorient her to the
Yeah.
point where she's already frustrated. So there's gonna be
Pushes her
somebody
over,
that
yeah.
snaps, and because she has the most to lose out of anybody that's there,
Yeah.
that's why she snapped. Because out of everybody there, I mean, granted, yes, I'm sure Sam with his family or whatever, but that's never a driving point because I don't think they want to threaten Sam. They
Yeah.
want him, but they're not going to threaten him in that regard. But they do get her because I think they know that's going to affect
It seems
her.
like the rest of the characters they couldn't
They
couldn't get their breaking point, but with her
Yeah.
they found like, well, let
Yeah,
your kid.
because I think because everybody essentially I think is pretty at that point pretty calm-minded because
Everybody's on the same page
Smoke's-
except her.
Smoke almost lost it with Stack, but I think they like Mary was not Mary. I'm sorry, was and kind of got steered him to like no, like, and he realized because he trusts her, like yeah, no, it's not him anymore. Sam doesn't have any like anything in the ball right game right there in terms
Slim
of like,
doesn't have anything.
and Slim doesn't have anything to lose. He's pretty
The
content.
girl, Sam's girl,
Sam-
doesn't have anything to lose.
Yeah,
Carlin.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean,
She has a husband.
but
it's-
in Kansas,
yeah.
no, that's the other one. That's Mary.
Husband.
Yeah.
You've never seen.
They both
Yes.
have husbands.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have husbands that aren't at this place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really, she's the main one that has something to lose, other than Sam.
Yeah, and Grace, so her snapping point, she goes ahead and yells at the top of her lungs, "Come on in, motherfuckers!"
And then they're like, and he does a smile.
The worst fucking scene in the entire
What?
movie.
It turns into Endgame right here, bro.
It's so bad.
Dun,
You're
dun,
telling me that there's 8 people inside, right? About 8 people, and there's 24+ vampires outside that don't fucking die to bullets. But no, like this entire scene, they just get defeated by the fucking
You got Michael
regular
B.
people.
Jordan, bro.
Well, they didn't get defeated.
They didn't get defeated.
They're still
Well,
alive.
that's what I mean. They get okay. You get stunned. Okay, the 3 vampires coming after me. Shot. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
More people are coming in. Y'all aren't dead. Now there's 6 people coming in.
The thing is, bullets don't kill them, but it stops them.
It
It
pauses
does-
them, but
pauses
no,
them,
no,
there's still more coming
but
in.
no, but no, you're missing the key point, which is this is where they verify the hive mind. Everybody does feel it
Yes.
because when they hit the leader, because
They
the
all get
leader,
stunned.
then they're all getting backtracked.
But the leader hardly is in this at all. And when
He's
he
in.
is,
He's in. He's the
yes,
first
he
one
is.
in.
Okay, yes, But that it's just not an okay. I'm gonna you're the leader. Okay, boom. Right, everybody's stunned for like 5 seconds. There's still 100 coming in.
I wouldn't say it's like 5 seconds. The bullets they stop him for a while.
To be fair,
They
also,
don't.
it's not like we have 8 people walking out of here. The only people that survive are Smoke and Sam.
Yeah.
Like,
It just doesn't. No, it just doesn't do it.
We also have,
it's
like,
very bad.
the sympathy kill, like he killed Annie out of like
Well, 'cause here's
to free her.
I mean,
and everybody just lets them do that. Like all the vampires just there's
well, they're fighting
if there's
7 other people.
If there's 6 people, right, 7 other people in there, or I guess six, right? Because I don't know how many there are. We have the example of 8. Annie's one of them gets bit. Okay, whatever. Everybody else is getting bit. There's still so many more vampires than there are people still alive.
What I find interesting about this is that in that moment we have Stack, that's the name, right?
Mhm.
And Mary. Mary basically breaks at this point.
And
like, you
what
get
the
the
fuck
peek-
for?
Because the
That's the
soul's
other
still
thing.
in
That
there.
doesn't make any sense. Why? Why did she do
He's
that?
He's watching somebody share the connection with.
Wait, what?
Well, yeah. So okay.
What?
So the pausing point. He doesn't like that emotional aspect. So the key point is there because it gets later revealed in the middle scene, right? They still do have like
Humanity.
their humanity.
Yeah.
But again, I think the hive mind doesn't help. Like I think when that leader's there, he can have I think
Yes.
some sort of control of what they're doing, kind of like the whole Dracula.
I think it's that
like-
too.
Yeah. So. But whenever they take out, so big point was Annie told Smoke, if I turn into one of those things, you have to kill me before it happens. I don't want to like free my soul. Don't let me get lost. And so that was the point. She gets bit. I think he ends up shooting off or kicking off whoever was on her that bit her. So what ends up happening? Or actually, it's the brother that does it, right?
Yeah.
It's stacked.
It's stacked. And so whenever he ends up basically hitting her with the chair leg, stabs her, so she's not gonna make it. But they and a few others lose it because of that emotional aspect of like they want to see her, they want her to be a part of the community, and you just took her away from the community. Now she has no way to be a part of their family. And I think that's still going back to that whole idea of like they want to build that community, and even at the hive mind, they still want her there. Like even that guy's whole reason in the Bad Vampires, I want to see the people that I can't see, and you can do that. Yeah. So I think that's
because in their mind they're not actually dying. You're just converting them over.
You're converting them, but now you actually killed them. You didn't let us be with them.
And this is when we see Mary and Stack run away. Like they essentially that breaks them out of the hive mind for a second.
And
they run away. Stack comes back later. But,
yeah. Which I get, and I can totally see why, but I think with
it's just
everything
a numbers thing. Like there's so many more of them than there are. Why are you gonna stop? Like even Haley Steinfeld stops. There's still a dozen. That just doesn't make sense.
Well, they get a couple of them pretty fast too with the the stakes. They kill a couple of them.
The couple, when you're talking about 8 versus 30. What the fuck does
the thing
matter?
The thing is, who is left? Like the only person that lives
exactly
is Smoke.
Like it just doesn't.
Like how is 2 people out of the 8 living unrealistic? I guess. Like they take everybody else.
They take everybody out. Yeah.
And the goal is to get to Sam.
It's just bad. I just think it's bad.
I mean, yeah, they did accomplish their goal. I'm confused. I'm concerned.
No, it's just.
It's like every other movie. It's like every other movie. They went one by one. It's not going to be the mob. They're not going to 1,000 of them at the same time just attack at once. Even though, yes, that would logically make sense, but that's every movie ever. Like every action movie, it's 20 people and they all come one at one and they get each individual moves.
Movies, so.
It's kind of a thing. Yeah.
That's a thing.
I know it's a thing. It just irks me.
We also know that like
it's
Smoke is like throughout the movie. I don't want to say OP, but like we know
he has plot armor. Let the man do his thing.
It's just
I
plot.
think that's my gripe.
And it seems
and he has the juju necklace. So.
And it seems like with Sam, the main guy wants Sam specifically for himself. Like they're holding off on Sam until
Sam jumps out the top window.
The main guy wants to handle.
And if we're being really nitpicky, they all did eat garlic, so all they had to do was open their mouth, and that repelled them. So I'm just gonna throw that out there that they had a already defense.
Maybe that was it too. Maybe they were just.
They just had to spit on them with the garlic, saliva.
I don't know. It's a movie thing, yeah. You can't be too mad about it.
I totally get where you're coming from because in a sense, I kind of did feel that too. But I'm also like, it's a movie and it's one. They're doing the 1 by 1 thing, but eventually they did the numbers 1. Like nobody survived because what ended up happening was once they stabbed Annie. They had a couple that freaked out. There was already some that were more that were about to come in, because this is where we get the real hero, which is Slim. Slim basically had even told him. He told him, it's like, this was where we had the line earlier in the movie. He's like, I've danced with the devil enough times. He doesn't want, like, if he's gonna come, they're gonna come for y'all. They're gonna go through me first, which they already went through everybody else at that point.
Yeah.
But he basically cuts his arm and lets it like split. So then that basically gets the rest of them to swarm him. So that's where the rest of them end up. And they definitely they all gang up on him.
We see him getting ripped apart.
And Smoke goes upstairs.
Throws Sam out the window.
Sam was like, what is it? He breaks the window. He's like, all right, go. And he
the vampire gets them, I think, at one point.
No,
gets one of them.
They go outside.
It's when they go outside. But he like literally, he's like gonna escape.
He jumps off himself.
Yeah, but like he jumps, and it made it seem like there was gonna be a lot of ground. And like I thought this was the funniest shot, because like I don't think he even knew how high it was. He's like, oh,
and he gets the lip.
Yeah, he like falls like fall damage. He's like didn't think the fall damage was there. He's like, oh.
It's like the red is this also we get a little bit after this is when like we see the guy flying again.
Yes.
The leap.
The leap. And this is where we get the final
which I understand that this okay, they're all different vampires. My understanding is that in my mind this vampire is essentially like the devil, like it plays the it's a negative.
Is he the only one that has red eyes, or they all? Is it red eyes and white eyes?
He might be the only one that has the red.
I don't know.
I think he's the only one that has
the other one's eyes look different.
They gray out. They gray out.
Yeah, I only remember seeing that.
Which I did like. They did that a couple times when they were like testing other people, and like they were obviously vampires, and like they'd have the normal eyes, and then it would shift to the gray, like not like the bright, but like it would like gray them out.
He's very clearly like the OP leader.
Yeah. Which I think he's been around for a long time. It seems like he's been around for probably generations.
In the middle of this, before we get to like the big finale between Sam and the main guy, we see Stack came back and is fighting Smoke.
I think that's part of it. I think that is part of it. They're having simultaneous shit.
Right. I just don't know if it's easier to finish one off or finish.
I think
because I don't. Do we get a lot of dialogue?
So the dialogue between Smoke and Stack is important because. Because they're going back and forth, and like I mean, Smoke's holding his own. And I will also throw out there, if you notice, I don't think a lot of these vampires have super strength. Like I think they're stronger, but they're not like your typical. I can throw you 1,000 feet across the room, because a lot of the humans can hold their own, and I think that would be a point of contention for the massive thing too. Is like they can actually like hang mano kind of. Now they're super strong. They wouldn't.
It seems like they have their natural abilities.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. What were you gonna say? You were saying.
I was gonna say I think with that like the vampire strength might because the main dude seems like he has super strength or something like that.
They can take bullets
because he can fly. Like the main guy can fly.
Like it seems like they don't probably. Sorry.
They don't register pain, I think was the big thing.
No, I'm getting at like their strength and their leaping and all that stuff. I think just like that they're not leveled up enough yet.
They're not aware,
right? You know what I mean? Like they have to go through a monologue before they can do that.
Yeah, they didn't have enough encounters.
I don't remember what Smoke and Stack say to each other. I just remember we don't really see like anybody get killed.
Well, the big thing is that's like at both points, I think both of them each have each other to where they could kill one another.
Yeah. Which it's him fighting himself.
Michael B. Jordan by Michael B. Jordan. That's gonna be.
There was not one moment. I don't know if y'all saw a moment. I thought anytime they were on screen together, it looked great. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, it did look.
There were some CGIs though that did. I kind of caught.
You can see it looks odd. But like, if you're not looking at their hands, it looks fine.
In the intro, when they're by the car, you can tell that like he's reaching back
and some other stuff too. Some other setting stuff you can kind of tell it was like either green screen. Or CGI.
I can't remember. I mean, because it's still fresh.
Like the background.
Yeah,
especially when they're going through the fields.
The snake. You're gonna shoot a rattlesnake. You're gonna shoot a real snake.
I'm just saying, you could just easily.
They should have done a
rattlesnake.
Yeah. They should have done a real.
They should have done a real. They should have done a real one.
It's gonna be just a paper cutout. No, but I don't remember much dialogue. But I think at one point he did mention to him like. I think they did bring up the dad. Like, they had brought up, like, you've always protected me. Like, you've always, so that...
It gets emotional again.
It gets emotional. And I think this is another part that shows that humanity that we don't quite know for sure yet, other than that, the moment of,
but we see it, shine through a little bit.
Shine through a little bit, where they have some type of, like they're still there.
Yeah, and we don't see Smoke like kill him or anything.
Yeah, we don't see
kind of the end
that's
of
it.
I think like the end of that scene is Smoke is on top of Stack, right?
Yeah.
He has the stake and he's
like
about
ready,
to press it or something, and then we cut to what's going on with Sam and the main vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate this.
This one.
What? You hate this?
Why? Why are you gonna monologue? There's no point.
The man
He
is
is
I love
cornered.
this.
The
I
man
love
has
this.
lived 1,000. Well, he's not
That's
cornered. He's in an ocean, but
He's
in
lit.
a pond.
He's lit.
Wait,
That's actually probably
At
There's
this
no
point,
corners in
I
a
think
pond.
when they're outside, this is also when
One
one
really deep.
we get like the longest nails for the first time.
Oh yeah, I think this is where he really
I'm pretty
started
sure
going
he hits
his-
the accent
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah,
swear to
he
God,
has,
he
he
hits
has
the
an
accent.
Irish accent.
Iron
here.
accent.
Yeah.
Well, he had an Irish accent, I thought, for most.
But I
It,
swear to
like,
God, he
cuts
hits
in and
the
out.
he hits
Yeah.
the crazy style accent.
This is where he scratches Sam.
So I don't know if we're gonna do piece by piece. One thing I found interesting, and maybe y'all have maybe y'all can explain it to me. There's a point when right, we do like the little prayer thing or whatever, and we even get lore from like the main guy that when they came and took my land or my family's land, the vampire guy, when they came and took my family's land, they said this and like instilled it in us or whatever. Sam hits him with the guitar, right, and like the metal plate that's on it.
Yes, it's
I
silver.
think it's silver.
It's silver.
It gets lodged in his.
It's
So
silver.
they're allergic to silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
one of the things that
Yeah.
Annie says as well.
I was wondering why it was
Yeah.
sizzling, which is
Yeah,
why
and this is where we get all of them are affected by him. So anything that he's
Yeah.
getting, they feel. So, as
I
soon
think
as
it's more of a. I agree with you. Now that I think about it, I think it's more of right. They all feel what he feels, but if you kill him, I feel like they just get freed of
Yeah,
that.
you get freed.
Yeah, they get
But they don't
freed.
die.
They don't die.
Right.
You do get freed. You get freed of his hold on you, I guess.
Which I think
Which is
is
what
so
happened to
that
Stack.
Yeah.
And
which is what
Stack and Mary.
your
Which is why
theory
he
of
doesn't-
he could be actually other than just a vampire, like a demonic vampire, like one that can
basically has them.
has more of like an
Yeah.
underworld type power, whereas the other ones maybe don't. Like they just are
he leveled up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get the plate or whatever. I know. What else did he get the guitar neck? And
So before that too, I will throw out that we get the prayer like you were saying, and this is how I felt. I took it, which was crazy. Was like as he's monologuing, he's almost essentially drowning him, which
He's
gives
baptizing.
baptizing. Yeah, like that's what I got. And I thought that was really interesting symbolism because it's essentially like I'm gonna. Instead of baptizing you for life, I'm baptizing you for death.
I think he's just mocking them.
Well, he is, yeah. He's
just
mocking,
yeah.
but like I thought that was
Symbolism
interesting. Yeah,
goes.
the symbolism.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and then that's when he did. I mean, he did the
I didn't say it
scratch.
was good.
But I will throw out here. This is a lot of these were the scenes that we were getting snippets and cuts of very quick flashes at the beginning when he entered the church.
Yeah,
like it was almost like
this.
having like PTSD, like split second flashbacks. And this is like a lot of the parts that we saw here in this last little scene. But yeah, hits him in the head with the guitar. That silver spot like is just ingrained in his cranium and is like burning. And then I'm pretty sure that's not what does him in. It's just at that point because they're all like freaking out. It's
The
just
light's
sun.
coming up.
The sun.
Michael B. Smoke comes up behind him with the
With the stake.
The stake and
Jabs
jabs
from the back.
And then he turns, the sun rises, all the other vampires
are crawling. They're trying to
vaporized.
crawl to the thing, and this is why we get that, or we don't know for sure if he dies that they die because they're crawling to safety and they burn. But we could also see that as well, maybe because he died, they also died, type deal.
No,
But we learned that
because Mary and
You don't know that until the credits.
I
You know what I'm saying? Like
okay.
that's why I was like I like how they did that because we don't know for sure.
we do get them all dying at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. But it's obviously from the sun, but some could even say that it was the stake because
Yeah.
they happen at the same time. Like the
Turned
stake.
into powder, bro.
And then the main vampire turns into a fire tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire tornado. That's why I thought he was demonic
That was-
because
Oh, that's I thought was a little corny. I thought that
It was-
That is true because he
I
like
think that's
disappears.
yeah, that's why I
He
said
does
that's why I thought he was
I'm
demonic.
going back.
Like the remnants aren't there. Like Voldemort, bro.
27 years. Was that it, right?
28
28 years.
And then 28 years
I'll
later,
see
he's
you-
gonna appear in the movie.
I'll see you in 28 years. Yeah.
Hey, at least he didn't die for a girl like Nosferatu.
Oh,
True.
no.
At least he actually had like some kind of motive in this one.
And then we get the opening scene again where Sam shows up to the church. And then we get Smoke. It's the next day. He opens up the trunk.
Got the arsenal, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the arsenal.
because they mentioned the trunk, and this was because we kind of figured it was an arsenal because they were upset before the vampires really started attacking. Was like we forgot the trunk.
They left it
we
outside.
left it outside, and they had grenades. I'm like, man, they could have easily survived had they had the trunk.
And the whole idea, like, the reason they came back and had money is that, like, they were working for Al Capone or whatever,
Yeah.
and they essentially they swindle people.
They swindled
took from
two
both
different
sides.
groups. They stole
From
the Italians
Irish mob and the Italian
yeah,
mob.
they stole
And they pinned it on each other.
the
right?
Italian mob's wine and the Irish mob's beer.
So then they, like, clearly they stole these weapons.
Because was this
Bro.
Prohibition time?
No,
No,
it
not
would've been
yet.
after.
It would have been after. Okay.
But, oh, sorry, go for it. I was waiting for this scene just because part of it's shown in the trailer. And I was like,
Oh, yeah, so basically what happens is that the realtor shows up with all of his other Klansmen buddies, and then
Nazi
Michael
buddies.
V just mows
Right, they're
them
like
down.
going in expecting the mess there.
Yeah.
He even says like opening day and closing day or whatever.
Yeah,
Something like that,
and then all the doors are locked. And I thought they were like, all the doors are locked. Well, check the front. Like, I was like, what? Like, aren't y'all just gonna like, kick the door in or whatever?
It was a
But
big door.
yeah, well, but he kind of like, I mean, really truly shows like the soldier training because like he's
Yeah.
in the bushes like Call of Duty style,
Yeah.
like literally laying
He's
down with the
He's spot camping.
I think does the like the weapon have like the little tripod
Yeah.
too?
And he
also
also
has
has-
accuracy.
Doesn't he like bury the other gun?
Yeah.
He
buried
has
that.
like the ammo stashed.
Yeah,
in, like,
dude.
strategic.
He was
He was
strategic.
all Rambo on him.
Yeah, basically that's what I thought. I was like, this is
Also-
like Rambo.
I don't know how they filmed this, but I noticed when he's first like pulling out the artillery, he looks tired as shit. Like
I mean, he's up the entire
up the whole
That's
time.
what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how. I don't know if they made him stay up to actually film. But he looked tired as fuck.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
He's playing two
tired,
roles.
yeah.
What are you
Exactly.
talking about? He's doing
Right.
2 roles the entire movie. He's
So
gonna get 2 Oscars. He's gonna get best leading actor and supporting actor.
That's crazy.
So he mows down all the Klansmen. He gets shot in the gut.
And the
then
realtor's still alive.
The
like,
realtor's
on his
still
last
alive.
I think
He's
I was upset about that, but I was upset because he got hit, which was like he didn't get hit by anything else, and it was like a little gut wound. Like I
And
thought
then
he
the
was
bullet
like,
goes in and out.
yeah.
I think he was ready to go.
But no, but it was because and he was ready to go because he took off the good juju necklace, and that's why he
Yeah.
got hit. And which I was mad about. Like, why did you take that off? Like,
He let it go.
maybe he wanted to
just
just.
tired.
Well, that's like the reason why he does that is because when Anne says, I can't remember if it's while she's dying or when she tells him
I'll see
to
you
give
soon.
her,
I'll see you soon.
she says, I'll see you soon, but
Oh,
there's
somebody's-
also somebody else
yeah.
waiting. Somebody else
That's when she tells him that when like he promises that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
free her or
because
whatever.
somebody's waiting for me, and they're waiting for you too.
And we also get like at this point, okay, he's been shot. He's laying basically face to face with the realtor
The
guy.
realtor, he goes, you got a cig? And
Yeah.
then the realtor goes, go to hell, N-word.
Yeah.
He
I
does.
was like, what the
And then we get,
fuck?
like-
and then he gives him
gives him
the
a cigarette.
Well, I think he
He's about
realizes.
to shoot him.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
like,
think-
no.
Yeah, because I don't think he understands that like he actually is dying too. Because
Yeah.
that wound doesn't.
And then we
look
get
that
the flashback. Like we see like
Well, it's
flashbacks
him.
and
I think
smoke.
it's real time.
bad. real time.
Yeah.
It's him. He's seeing his wife with.
No, but we get like flashbacks of the rest of them, like everybody that was at the.
Oh,
There's, like, flashbacks.
The thing.
flashback.
Yeah,
A lot of people-
I will say I wish it was in the movie because I think it would have helped build more character building or like camaraderie. So when people started, getting taken
Right.
out, but the movie was already 2.5 hours. So
Then
like,
we-
I think that's why they cut it. They're like, let's do it in flashback.
Then we see we see Annie and the ghost baby essentially,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Bro, put out the cigarette."
Yeah.
He's like, put out the cigarette. I don't want smoke getting on the baby.
I was
Yeah.
so okay. Wow, this is about to have people like red flagging me. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I was
So
so
what?
worried he wasn't gonna finish off the realtor guy.
Oh.
Like I thought he was just gonna die like that.
And let him.
Well,
I think.
I think he was going to until he started he ruined his moment. I think his internal moment because he only
Yeah,
like
he
was
almost forgot about
Yeah,
it.
he forgot about him. He was like, okay, I'm done. He was like ready to go, and then that guy was like, I got money.
like unload
all you literally had to do is just let the guy
Yeah.
just I mean, he probably would have died anyways, but he would have got mowed down.
And it even cuts to him like
Yeah.
I was happy about that. Okay.
There's a lot of wiener shots. I don't know if y'all noticed
Yeah.
that.
I thought that was the goofiest thing, but they do that a lot in Quentin Tarantino movies. So I was like, accepting. Yeah, when they said, have you seen like Django, the final house scene where they're shooting the same person, the same body, he's because there's people at the doorway and these 2 people are trying to hide and I think the guy's still alive too and he's like he's getting shot and it's
So bad.
yeah, it is
Shimmying, right?
Yeah, he's shimmying like the shimmy.
Even in Kill Bill, it's the same way.
Yeah, the
Like,
shimmies,
uh,
the shimmies. Well, Quentin
Anytime you get
Tarantino's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
So it's an homage to Quentin
Over the
Tarantino,
top.
over the top, body action. But at this point, then it flashes then to our opening scene.
1992.
No, opening scene.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
It
it
goes
was
to
never
the-
seen.
Oh, yeah.
No, it goes to opening scene.
Oh yes, yes.
It goes to opening scene because that's when cousin, which is Sam, the main
Put the guitar
protagonist.
down.
Yeah, back to that scene, like
They're
immediately.
like shaming him.
Well, no, he
Oh.
like he does. They set it up again. He drives in. He does the
We
door.
re-see
walks
the
in,
whole thing.
But then he like
Wow.
zips to the front, and then he's telling him, and he like is holding that guitar like pretty
The
firmly.
neck only.
Yeah, the neck
Oh.
only. And then I can't remember if he doesn't give an answer, right? He just basically
it cuts.
it cuts to the credits, and then we go.
Don't we see him drive away? I swear to God, we see him
No.
driving away with the
Oh,
guitar.
we do. Oh, yes,
He
they do.
leaves, he
He
leaves.
leaves. He
It
leaves.
like cuts to him driving away with the
Yeah.
guitar.
With the
That's
guitar.
what
So then we get credits in mid-credit scene,
Yeah.
which
before this, it's like jumped to 1992, and we
1992.
a little bit before this actual scene takes place, we like see him playing or whatever.
Yeah, we
with
see
the
him
scar.
playing
With
the
blues.
scar.
He has
Is that
the
older,
clawmark
right?
scar,
And
and
like
the name
posters.
of the club is Perlene
Oh, it's his club.
It's his
Okay.
club.
It's his
What a goat, bro.
Yeah.
in Chicago.
and it's in Chicago.
It's in
I didn't
Chicago.
catch that.
It's in Chicago.
Bro, he likes this movie. Look at
he knows the lore. He knows the lore. Yeah.
That's how I can confidently say that it's a bad movie. I paid attention.
Yeah.
So so then get to credits. Then we get to the mid-credit scene, which is essentially him. I guess he's done with his act. He's at the bar and
Old as hell.
yeah, he's old. I mean, like pretty old. Like, but he's a blues
Yeah,
musician.
60 years
Yeah.
will do that.
And, he,
too.
and,
Yeah.
and good to or not good to know. He's playing. He's playing.
80 or something.
He's
yeah.
playing like electric guitar during all of
Yeah.
this.
He's still
like,
got
he's
it.
modern-
He's
yeah,
still
he's got
got
it. So
See, it's the
the
future.
bouncer comes in and is like, hey, there's two people here that say they want to come in and just buy us a couple drinks. I told them it was closing, but they're very adamant that they have money
And that they like,
and they're willing to spend.
and he implies like they're adamant that they have to be invited in.
yeah. And
It's
so
on the-
I think he kind of figures and he's like,
Let him
I'll let him in. And so sure enough, it ends up being
Michael B. Jordan
yeah, Michael B. Jordan
in the Coogee.
yeah, so
Bro, he's swag.
it's Mary and Stack.
He got the stat.
So
rate.
after this is where we realized that Smoke did not take out Stack. Like he let Stack live.
And at this point, I had kind of forgot that Mary had ran away. And
Yeah, Mary ran away too. So they sit down with him, and the bartender's there. And the bartender even looks kind of shaken up, right? Like they start talking. He looks freaked out. They have the classic mirror. You can't see the reflection.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they can't see the
That
reflection.
goes hard.
And they have a conversation with him, and I can't remember if it's before or after, but before he ends up playing for them because he asks him, he's like, hey, do you still have the name of the guitar? And he's
I was gonna
like,
tell them like I prefer the real.
yeah, I like the steel. I think he calls it like steel. I prefer the
Yeah.
steel. And so sure enough, he whips out the case. It's redone. It has this. I'm assuming the same metal plate. He went back and
Yeah.
got it at some point, like the camera from
Yeah.
from something that we haven't done yet. And so next the 2 weeks, whatever. But essentially, he plays for them and he does like a short song, which is really good. I mean, he's killing it. And they kind of like, yeah, man, you still got it. You sound good. And, I prefer the old records, but they sound like garbage, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
they're
like the technology.
the technology's
That's when
better,
it
but-
pitches him like you're old. It's almost the end of your life. Like, essentially, if you want to join us.
Yeah, he's like, let me free, like, let me like keep you from leaving. Like, you can have this forever. And I think what he says, like, I think I've seen
Enough of this place.
I've loved this place. I'm good.
And they even reflect. This is another time when we see their emotion. Like, they reflect on that one night, and he mentions like before the sunset, it was one of the best nights of my life.
Anyways, how was it for you? And he's like, it was for me too. And he did point out that he told Smoke told him, he's like, the reason you're alive is because Smoke told me I promised him to leave you alone and let you live your life. And so that's what ended up happening. So they're visiting him towards his end to see if he wants to join them, but they've never pressured him. They've never, done anything to him. He was able to live how he wanted to live.
And we get Stack basically tells him, just for a few hours we were free, which ties into you're
never free. Because even them as vampires now, they're limited, right? Because he's like, I can't enjoy the sunset. That's the last time I enjoyed the sunset. That's the last time I enjoyed
anything.
Which for those
his
right.
brother.
For the few hours things were going right, it was the best time because they didn't have to worry about
you didn't have any worries.
the other bullshit.
Yeah.
Shout out America.
So that was Sinners. We're going to go ahead and get into pros and cons. We're going to do it a little bit backwards today. I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'll start it simple. I didn't have any pros. Cons, I feel like I mentioned it throughout. our breakdown of the plot. The only other thing that I'll add is I didn't care about any of the characters, so when they all died, I was just like, okay, whatever. I didn't think the script was good, and then some of the scenes just went on for way too long.
Adam. I'm the complete opposite in that I thought all the scenes were pretty well done and the dialogue was good for me. I really felt like it had a lot of... I don't want to compare it because he's his own director, but I felt like watching like a Quentin Tarantino movie in that there's always those long segments of dialogue and monologues and conversation.
Yeah.
And this is an okay, what I would consider, it's not really a slow burn, but it does take a while for things to really start picking up, but I'm okay with it because there's good information and dialogue being had a lot of the time. You're getting those bits and pieces of information, similar to like the little journal notes in Silent Hill and Resident Evil, right? You're just picking up a little bit of lore here and there, and then eventually you put it all together, except I don't because I never remember any of it. And it's always out of order. It's like note 49 and then note 2 and then note 63. But I don't know. I really did enjoy the conversations, and like this movie is just one of those ones that just checks a lot of boxes for me. Like I enjoy the exchanges. I enjoy the setup and the build up. Like I really did like the first act. Like I thought it was like one of those like kind of ragtag, like, all right, we're getting the team together, right? And so they're helping set the stage for the quick turnaround, and then the second act, it's done. Like, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's already open. And I was like, oh, I wish they kind of did a little bit more with that. But definitely, those would be my pros. I thought the visuals were pretty good for the most part, other than the vampire leap you didn't like. I'm okay with it.
Did you see any of the blood that came out whenever they stabbed him?
Oh yeah, I love that.
It looks awful.
That's a homage to Freddy vs. Jason.
To Freddy versus
Jason. I don't like
the squirt.
Like the graphics that they used, it looked like freaking Renfield. It was bad.
It wasn't enough to deter me. I didn't really.
I mean, sometimes they do that in some of those films. I mean, like
the train was CGI, I think too.
The train was CGI.
It was. I noticed the train. I noticed the train.
We got the Wicked train, bro.
The Wicked train was real, and everybody said it was CGI.
It was real.
It was real. Yes. Everything in
how bad does that have to be for it to look CGI and then it's real?
Bruh, Jeff Goldblum was the vampire the whole time.
No. Let's see. But yeah, no. I can see where you're coming from in that regard. I thought, but like here are the graphics I did like. I thought the teeth were really well done. How they phased in and out. Like they really did a good job of seamlessly, and it seamlessly like shifted too. Like you never really like got the awkward like the jaw's gonna deform and all that. It just kind of like gradually happened. I think a couple times too with the main vampire. Like he had sometimes more of the pointier ones throughout. Like everybody had the canines, but there was a couple moments, especially towards the end, where they got more like.
Some of them got wild.
Like the demon or like
they're almost all look
the underwater, the underwater fish or whatever. What is it? The Evil Dead book, the book of the Necronomicon teeth. So I thought those were good. I was okay with the blood because a lot of these type of horror action type of movies will sometimes go that route where the blood kind of looks a little but like it's okay. Like I don't really care for that as much as like the vampires look good, so I'm like okay with that. The eyes I thought were well done. The grayed out versus the red, laser beam eyes were simple but effective. I think I don't know.
I do want to comment on this, which I saw somebody online mention. I feel like, especially with the main guy, again, I wasn't really paying attention to all their eyes. I feel like his eyes looked really, like, metallic, in a good way. I feel like obviously it was CG, but I feel like it was executed in a way that almost it was textured properly. It wasn't just, like, neon, like...
Oh, they didn't have the blood, but they didn't have the blood budget, so it went to the eyes and the teeth. It was the eyes and the teeth. But yeah, I thought it was well fleshed out. Like, I can, again, and I know this seems counter, but I can appreciate small details and nuggets being thrown in as long as the payoff is good. And I thought the payoff was good. I think it ties into the theme that they're going for. You get that ultimate story, right, of, like, at the end of the day, this is about Sam. Like, Sam was the person of lore that was able to tap in between the worlds, although all we really got from that was the vampires getting drawn. I kind of wish we saw something else. I guess that scene was where they kind of had it break down the walls, right? I guess that was the scene, but I think, I don't know. I thought it was well executed. My only cons, again, were, of course, the weird split cut at the beginning. I thought that was silly. I mean, small. I will say I wish they fleshed out the characters more, to your point, and not in the sense for maybe like Stack and Smoke and what was the other main character's name? Sam. But like the other characters, I felt like those characters kind of got only maybe 1 or 2 scenes to do their thing, and then when they perished, you didn't feel much. I think out of all of them, I guess maybe Slim got the most time, right? Like Slim got, I
feel like he's one of the characters that cared about the least when he died.
Like,
almost like he's like the joke character.
And so I think maybe they could have done that, maybe a little bit more.
Like, I feel like one of the characters that we should have felt the most emotion for when they died is Perline. When she died, because Sam names his club after her,
right.
But when she dies, it's like, oh,
you almost don't care. It's kind of in passing, It didn't bother me, but
because they didn't have a whole lot of built-in like scenes with them together enough, maybe. And that's
like your movie's already 2 hours 13 minutes.
He can't do it more. Is it 2.5?
It's 2 hours 13 minutes. Cut out Slim and put Perline.
I love Slim. I think Slim's important because he is the reason why some of the that Smoke doesn't want him to continue on. That's an important. He's the age musician that didn't make it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that like her death was just whatever. Like I think
like all of their deaths were kind of like. But I did get really invested in their relational moments. There were
relational moments, but
there were points where like I did feel emotion for like.
But you didn't get invested in the character themselves once it was all said and done.
Yeah,
but the
relationships were really what made it for me.
Yeah, you care more about their relationships with the main characters. Like Smoke and Stack. You care how they're connected.
Their connections, not themselves as a person, but like their interactions with each other.
Yeah, because I think the one that I wanted to feel more for was Smoke and Stack, because when Stack got killed the first time, the only time, with Mary, and he had him in his arms, like I felt a little bit of emotion, but I felt like I could have more because they split them at the beginning for the half of the first act. Like they were together a little bit, and we got
we don't really see them together,
but we don't really see them together enough. And they don't other than the lore of like, oh yeah, he saved him from his dad. Like, so I that was one relationship I wish I got more of. Maybe I don't, Perline, or what's the lady's name?
Perline.
I was like, okay, cool. I think he just named the club because that was his.
Their walls also like Smoke and Stack specifically, like their walls never break with each other. Like Stack breaks with Mary and Smoke breaks with Annie. Like they have a moment of vulnerability, but that doesn't really happen with the brothers together.
Right, together.
They don't do it like. We get the lore that one saved the other or whatever.
Right, and they looked at because even like, you better watch out for him because he can't watch out.
We don't see
himself.
the vulnerability till he dies, basically, or
which I think is fine.
Right.
I mean,
I'm okay with it.
They give enough, I think, background on both of them to give you like they've been going at this together their whole lives. They've been like
they were in the
together.
trenches together.
Exactly. Yeah. They have already that emotional bond with each other since like and this is just like them splitting off. It's like to us, it's like, oh man, well they're not together, but to them, this is like. It's another day.
Yeah, but
they've been with each other.
That would be, I guess, now I guess reflecting on it would be my only big, like I could actually pinpoint con. But I think, like you're saying, the relationship building worked, and I like the ensemble interaction was great.
Yeah,
that was, and I think that's my point is that if that's good, I think the rest of it is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, at the end, it's kind of like I wish. I would have been more invested in those characters, but they don't
as individuals.
They don't get enough screen time individually.
I think it's hard to do in a movie though.
With that, and then with that size of cast too.
Exactly.
I can totally see that. Yeah.
That's more stuff for like shows and stuff like that. It's like to give that many people, especially all these people dying in like it's a long movie, but in relative to like developing characters like that, I think they did.
Yeah, because I'm about to say when you think about it, what was it in total? It was like 8 characters.
And this characters.
Sam, his love interest, Stack, his love interest, Smoke, his love interest, Slim, and the wife of the clerk. It's like 8, essentially.
I feel like this also has really, like you're saying, like, yes, it's already kind of a long movie on paper, but again, I feel like a lot of the dialogue is important that we get, and it already has very fleshed out acts where I don't feel like any act was wasted.
Oh yeah.
Like, we know specifically where Act 1 is, we know where Act 2 is, and they all seem honestly like equal length and equal importance almost.
Yeah, and I think that was like how you had brought that up in a future video that we aren't talking about yet. I did feel like I could definitively tell here's Act 1, here's Act 2, here's Act 3. Like, and that was very important in terms of like pacing too, with how lengthy the movie was. But I enjoyed it. Again, if a good movie is long and it's great, like I'm all for it. Like I'll sit and watch 3.5 hours of Watchmen. Like I don't care. Director's cut, I'll sit and watch that 'cause that's really good. To all the haters out there. Continue. I'm done. That's my
to carry on that, and this might be an unpopular take of the table. I know this, Rob. You don't want to agree with it. This movie did for me what Nosferatu did for me in terms of runtime. In that, like, I know for you it really dragged Nosferatu. This movie felt like, for it being 2 hours, it felt really quick for me. I feel like I was engaged the whole time, and I would sit down and watch it again without like feeling any kind of. I feel like the first act is really make or break with this movie in that, like, if that concept doesn't pull you in or like isn't interesting or already comes across kind of like it drags on or it's boring, like you're not really going to get pulled in the other 2 acts. Yeah. I don't know if it's just, and I know like the time in which Nosferatu and this take place are completely different. I don't know if it's just the idea of like it being historically in the past that pulls me in. I just find like movies taking place in different times so interesting because I get drawn into like the Karen. I love Karen.
Let me speak to your manager.
Like the Karen love that goes into like the environments and the atmosphere that we're getting.
It's because like the actors don't just feel like they're playing themselves, and I think that's important. Like, yes, I feel like I don't just see Michael B. Jordan as Michael B. Jordan. Like, I could definitely tell like there was a different character. Where there's some movies like, oh, that's just Robert Downey Jr. playing Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
There's no difference. That's just The Rock playing The Rock with the wig. Hey, hold on, wait, what? Stop. Nicolas Cage, don't you dare.
I also don't know, like, not that we're not all like interested in certain things, but I don't know if it's because I'm so like drawn in with this movie specifically into like social issues or political issues that I just found like the whole first act really interesting and like. I feel like I was pulled in emotionally to the characters and like the environment. Like we see all these cotton fields. We see like how fucked up the dynamic is between the black people and the white people. We see like these struggles, and it's just very like, I don't know, seeing it on screen and like just remembering that this is something obviously not obviously not vampires, but like this dynamic actually happened.
The vampire stuff,
I read all about it.
The history books.
I don't know. I felt really drawn in. Also, I'm kind of like, I'm newer to horror in like the last 2 or 3 years.
Damn, for real?
So I'm kind of a softie. So like,
I'm a softie.
A lot of movies make me cry.
Damn.
Don't watch The Mist.
Y'all are gonna judge me.
Oh no!
Bruh. Y'all are gonna judge me and think it's stupid, and that's fine. I probably cried like 4 times during this movie.
Really?
He's like,
So I felt,
Dude,
how sad. I'm into the characters.
I
in
was
this movie.
there were points too where I felt that.
Like
where
when-
I was like, I could feel like, empathy for the characters. And
I think
stuff
the
like
only
that.
one I really felt empathy for, and I felt like it could have even been drawn out even more, was I think Annie, because that was the big one, because you knew Smoke was not only did he have to see her like die, but then he was gonna have to do it. He was gonna have to do it also himself too. So like you're having to do it twice. Like that's insane. Like that, I think that was probably the most gut wrenching part of like the whole movie, was that aspect of like, you promised to take me out if that happens. But that's in a lot of movies, but I felt like that one was pretty well done because he knows the consequences, like literally the one person that knows the evils of that, like you need to do what she asked. So right.
Okay, quick to wrap it up. One, to speak on that point, like Slim was one of the ones where he's telling the story about his brother or whatever. It just hit me like, again, these are fake characters in this situation, but like a lot of this actually happened. 2, it's just, I really cared for the music. I thought it was shot well.
Yeah.
I really like the scene where Mito hates.
I hated the music.
I am standing on the 10 out of 10. I'll watch it again, but for now I'm standing on the 10 out of 10. No cons. Perfect movie.
No cons.
No cons. Except the one jump and the fire tornado, but 10 out of 10.
I don't think there's really anything that's left to be said that I could add besides, I'm not huge on historical movies for some reason. I've never been a fan of them, but for some reason this one really, it pulled me in. Again, it was just the character ties to each other and stuff like that, not necessarily the characters. I think the first act did do a good job of setting that up, so I did enjoy that. So overall, I would consider this kind of like a world-building movie, not as opposed to like that's what they did a good job at.
So not a character.
It's not a character-driven
Bro.
movie. It's a world
I agree.
building. That's and so
100%.
and that's they did a good job on that.
Yeah.
And so
I would agree with that.
I would I give it props to that. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but again, and I'm not even a huge fan of stuff that's like this, but they did a good job of it. I would consider it a historical movie with a horror spin on it.
And I feel like the whole thing is a historical commentary.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the vampires are a metaphor.
Yeah.
For,
And it's fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. Nothing really.
Give me the prequel with the vampire.
I will say, that too.
That was
I would say, actually, I do remember one more con. It was the only musical aspect I didn't like was one of the emotional scenes, and I remember it had to do with Sam and somebody else. But they did like an electric guitar one that seemed out of place from all the other musical choices they picked. It was like
Future was in the background.
No, I was like, but it just seemed a little odd. Like I think all the other music was pretty reflective of the scene, and I know it's because it's like more like a emotional love / dramatic scene, but it felt out of place compared to all the other music.
I think I know what
they
you're
chose.
talking about.
Yeah, and I thought all the other music choices were great. It just felt like that one was out of place.
The music was like 50-50 for me. Like when they were modernizing some of it, it was like, especially like during that scene, it kind of took me out of it. But when they played like their actual like blues and even like the Irish part, like when they were doing, all that stuff, I really enjoyed it. I'm not huge on blues either, so it kind of it did something. The cinematography I found not, it was pretty average. There was nothing that really. There was no shots or anything that kind of like brought me in or it took me out. It was just, it did what it needed to do, nothing. So, again, very world building movie that was really good. So that's probably the majority of why I give it. Vampires are okay as a concept. They did good with it, especially they putting their own spin on an original idea, like the original vampires,
Hive mind.
Yeah. So I think it was cool. And a place where we haven't seen a lot of good movies coming out lately, especially for the horror genre, in my opinion.
Did you watch Companion?
No, I haven't.
Have you watched Presence?
No, I haven't.
I thought those
That's
were,
why.
Yeah.
those were my favorites of the year until this movie. Movie.
I will throw out there too, and I wish we would have done it out sooner. One other big thing that was interesting was going into this movie, there was a lot of people that were curious how it was going to do, because I think they had said there wasn't a lot of promotion for this movie in the string of time that you usually have, which is like, 2 months out? Usually you get a lot of promotion.
The trailers also didn't show a lot.
Yeah, and the trailers didn't show a lot, but they, again, it didn't seem like I just remember reading that online a lot, that people were very concerned. They were like, is this movie even going to do good? Because they're not promoting it, they're not doing all this stuff, XYZ. And now come to find out, it's like one of the highest
It's overperforming.
It's overperforming really well. I get why people like it. And that's why I went in with I kind of went in with okay, let's see if the hype lives up to it. And I thought it did, because I liked a lot of the aspects of how they directed it, the entire theming that was all tying it together, and how you put it, because I couldn't find the right words, but the world building was there. That was kind of cool. But yeah, that was the thing. Was everybody was kind of upset. They're like, "Oh, we don't think it's going to do well," and especially knowing that he's a very well-known director. This is not like him
and
with all his
an
actor Michael B. Jordan. That's why people were like, "What's going on?" But then they only
I feel
showed
like
a
it
wasn't
wasn't on people's radars.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's good, and it picked up like fire. It's really, really awesome.
It's nice to see a movie of this nature and this commentary doing so well.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was Sinners. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff that'll really help us out. The next episode we're going to be doing is going to be Amanda's Choice again, and it's going to be the Sacrament. So we'll see you then. Y'all have a nice day.